Hello everybody, let's learn today a very important topic which is very important for your professional exam, which is frequently asked in the examination, is this visual pathway. In this video I am having few important questions as an MCQ that is frequently asked during the exam. You have to answer those MCQs in the comment box, and remember, we are not going to do any Googles or any textbook. So let's begin the topic. We will see our introduction. We will see the retina, optic nerve, optic chiasma, optic tract, this lateral geniculate body, optic radiation, visual cortex, pathway, and the reflex. So this pattern we see from this top to bottom, that impulse travel in the same direction from this top to bottom till this visual cortex. So in the introduction, see here we will see this anatomy of this eyeball, especially here in this part, in the posterior aspect. You might be knowing all this, but yet have to go. Here we can see this yellow color structure that you see. This is the retina. Clear? This is the retina, and the retina, the one which we see here, this is the inner aspect of the retina, and this one is an outer aspect. First, know what is the inner and outer I am talking. This is in and this is out. So this part of the retina which is facing this side here is known as inner surface. Clear? And so this inner surface of the retina here, it is covered by the hyaloid membrane, and this hyaloid membrane, you can see here, this hyaloid membrane make this hyaloid canal, whereas this surface is an outer surface of the retina. So this outer surface is a pigment cell, is made up of the pigment cells, and this attaches here, this structure. So this structure is the choroid. You can see the choroid. So it attaches with the choroid. Now we will see what is the posterior pole, what is optic disc, what is macula lutea, what is fovea centralis. First try to understand what is this posterior pole. So this curvature, this what you see here is the posterior curvature. Clear? So this is the posterior curvature, and in the center of this posterior curvature here, what you see, this point is the posterior pole, and this posterior pole I am writing in a word P, posterior pole. So this posterior pole is present lateral. So here is, this is the optic nerve, you can see. So this is the optic nerve, exit of this optic nerve, you can see this is an optic nerve. So just lateral to this optic nerve, okay. So lateral to this optic nerve, and it is present in the center of this posterior curvature. So this is the posterior pole, and this is present between this optic disc. The optic disc is here. So here is the optic disc. So this is present between this optic disc, and this region is the macula lutea. So this region is the macula lutea. So between this macula lutea and the optic disc, here we see the posterior pole. Clear? Now next is the optic disc. So we can see the optic disc. This is the exit point. We can see this is the exit point of optic nerve. Clear? And it is about 1.5, it is about 1.5 mm in diameter. Clear? And this optic disc, here we can see, here is the depression. This is the point of the depression in this optic disc. So this point where it is, you have just seen the depression, it contains, here is, there is no any, so no any rods and cones. That's why this point is known as blind spot. Clear? What is the blind spot? Now understand about this macula lutea. So this region is macula lutea. Clear? So this is present near to this posterior pole. Clear? This posterior pole of, here you can see, here is the posterior pole. It is present near to this posterior pole, and this is present 3 mm lateral to optic disc. Here this is the optic disc. So from here to here the distance is 3 mm. It is 3 mm. Let me change the color. So here to here this is 3 mm from this optic disc. This macula lutea, here it exists as a small depression over this retina, and it is about 6 mm in diameter. And in the center of this macula lutea, here this is the point of fovea centralis. This fovea centralis. So the diameter of macula lutea is 6 mm, and here in the center you can see again a depression. As the depression, it was here, you have seen just now, I have discussed this optic disc. So the same depression in the center, it is also 1.5 mm in diameter. In this fovea centralis, only cones are present, no rods, only cones. So this point is fovea centralis, is the point of maximum acuity vision. This is also known as visual acuity. It means in terms, it is represented by 20 by 20, which means you can see clearly object at a distance of 20 feet. So this retina has got an arrangement of this retinal pigment epithelium with the rods and cone, as well as we can see here the horizontal cells, bipolar cells and ganglion cells. So these all they are arranged in a 3 layers that will be see. Finally the visual impulse from here through this rods and cone, going through this, all these rod and cone, then this pigment epithelium with all this, then finally it comes out through this optic nerve, this visual impulse, then it goes through this optic chiasma, then through optic chiasma it goes to this optic tract, you can see in the optic tract, then it goes to the lateral geniculate body, you can see the lateral geniculate body, then through this optic radiation it reaches here in the visual cortex area, that is Brodmann's area number 17, 18 and 19. see here, the light rays have to pass through the lens. Clear? So they have to pass through the lens, and then after passing through the lens, they will enter in this chamber. Then these light ray will fall over this ganglion cells. Here in this ganglion cells, then after the ganglion cells, they will pass through this bipolar neuron. Then they have to pass through this rods and cone. Here in the rods and cone, finally the rays will fall over this pigment epithelium. Remember, in the end, the light will fall over the pigment epithelium. Why over the pigment epithelium? Because the God has created this system. Because the pigment epithelium has a property to absorb the light, as you read in the physics about the reflection and the refraction. So due to this pigment epithelium absorb the light. These rod and cones, they are the photoreceptors, and these rods and cone, the photoreceptor, and finally the impulse will be generated, the nerve impulse will be generated, that will pass through this way, and finally I have shown you that tract, that optic tract, and with all that lateral geniculate body and with that optic radiation, and over the visual cortex. This image what I have presented here, this is to make the thing simpler, but in actual sense there are many rods. Let me draw to explain you. Many cone cells, many rod cells, they are here, and they join with the bipolar neuron. So they join with the bipolar neuron, and here many bipolar neuron, this bipolar neuron, they make a connection with a single ganglion cell, and finally comes out as an optic nerve fiber. So now it is clear that this part is an outer aspect and this part is the inner. So this retina is that it are arranged in the form of layers. So layers, there are two layers. One is the neural layer, another is the pigment epithelium. Clear? So this outer layer, in this neural layer is the rods and cones. Middle one is this bipolar neuron, and innermost are the ganglion cells. So this rod, they are sensitive to the dull light, first thing. Second point is they have a chemical known as rhodopsin, because this often asked as in MCQ, rhodopsin. They are present at the periphery, whereas these cones they generate impulse, and the chemical in this, they have rhodopsin. This rhodopsin in the rods and rhodopsin in the cone. Remember, is often asked an MCQ, and they are sensitive to the bright light. They are sensitive to bright light. Remember, they are present in the central region. That's why they are for visual acuity and meant for color. That is color detection. This middle layer by this bipolar cells, they get connected by this horizontal cell, and finally we can see here they are ending in this ganglion cells and get connected by this amacrine cells. Now these ganglion cells, you can see here, they are multipolar. You can see the dendrites here, they are multipolar, and finally the nerve impulse through this ganglion cell reaches to this optic nerve fiber. The last and outermost layer is this pigment epithelium, over which the light rays will fall. You have seen in that one This pigment epithelium is made up of the single layer. Remember, it is made up of the single layer of the cells, and you can see here single layer of the cells. And here what you see in this color, this is the melanin pigment. This is melanin pigment. So here this melanin pigment, what it do, it absorb, clear, it absorb the light. This melanin pigment, it actually help this choroid to absorb the light. So the energy which entered here in a form through the light over this photoreceptor, they will generate the nerve impulse, and the nerve impulse generated through these cones will move through the bipolar neurons, then the ganglion, and then through the optic nerves. It comes out and travel through this optic nerve that we are going to see in the next one. This optic nerve, which is 4 centimeter in length. So this optic nerves here, this is the optic canal. So it passes through this optic canal and reaches here in the middle cranial fossa. It reaches in the middle cranial fossa. I am writing in short. Few part of the fiber in this optic nerve, they move contralateral side. You can see from both left side as well as right side. So it means they decussate here. So this is the point of decussation, and this point is known as optic chiasma. So what happened? The fibers from that which is crossed to the other side, that is the contralateral side, and the fiber of that of the ipsilateral side, they together they form this optic tract. And this optic tract will go here. We can see this is the lateral geniculate body. I am writing in a short, LGB. So this optic tract and at this LGB, lateral geniculate body, I already explained you earlier, this LGB is the relay station. It's a relay station. So from this relay station, you can see here this optic radiation. This is an optic radiation. This optic radiation, finally it moved toward the occipital pole. Here in the occipital pole, in this occipital lobe, the occipital lobe here in this visual cortex. This is also known as geniculocalcarine tract, that we will see in the next. Here we can see this geniculocalcarine tract. So this is the geniculocalcarine tract, and the part of the geniculocalcarine tract, the one you can see here, this moved little bit in other way, and it comes over the temporal. Just remember, it comes over the part of the geniculocalcarine tract which comes over the temporal horn of lateral ventricle is known as Mears loop. Please be focused. This is the final way to visual field, and see here we will going to see all the visual field path, as well as we will little bit discuss about this lateral geniculate body. So this lateral geniculate body we have already seen in the metathalamus, lecture of the metathalamus, but still few part we are I'm going to cover here also. So you can say this is the continuation of that also, including that visual path. So see, this visual pathway actually it takes place with the 3 neurons. So first order neuron, second order neuron, and third order neuron. Clear? So first order neuron is the same that we have seen earlier. Let me show you. So this path from this rod and cone, so this rods and cone to the ganglion one, to the ganglion cell, this is by this this bipolar neuron. So this is first order, clear? And this second order of neuron is from here, from the ganglion cell to the lateral geniculate body, whereas third order neuron is from this lateral geniculate body to the visual cortex. So here you can see this first order here, so that is here in the retina. So whereas the second order is from this ganglion that is outside of the retina to this lateral geniculate body, and whereas the third order is from this lateral geniculate body to the cortex. This lateral geniculate body, see this lateral geniculate body, actually it is divided in the 6 different layers or a lamina, you can see. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Here we can see that this is the visual field, and here this retina we can clearly see differentiated with a different color. So this is a light red and this one is a light blue, this one is a dark red and this one is a dark blue, clear? So the retina which is toward the nasal side, that is the nasal hemiretina, and the retina which is toward the temporal side is known as temporal hemiretina, clear? So as per the concept of physics, you know the light travel in a straight line. So when light enter here, falls over this rods and cone, and what will happen? The impulse will be generated, and the impulse travel from this rods and cone to the ganglion cell as a first order neuron. Then from the ganglion cell, then it will travel here as a second order neuron. Now say this is the left side of the eye and this one is the right side of the eye. So finally what will happen? The fiber of the left side of the eye, you can say, see, it is now contralateral, whereas the fiber of the temporal side of the retina, it remain ipsilateral. You can see this remain ipsilateral. This light pink one is ipsilateral. So the same side of the fiber, and at the layers which are in this lateral geniculate body, in the layer of, you can see this layer number 2, then layer number 3 and layer number 5, and you can see the one which is contralateral ending on the layer, that layer, first layer, fourth layer and sixth layer. Similarly, the retina of the other side of the eye, you can see this nasal one, it's now contralateral. So here we can see that together they forming the optic tract. This optic tract that already we have seen. And finally from this lateral geniculate body, you can see this exit as a third order neuron. This third order neuron. So the fibers, we can see here the two pathway. One is monocellular pathway and the other is the parvocellular pathway, clear? And this cortex, this visual cortex, this part is the dorsal side of the visual cortex and this one is the ventral side of the visual cortex. So this parvocellular pathway fibers which are coming out through this third, fourth, fifth and sixth layer of lateral geniculate body, and here on the ventral part of visual cortex, and this is responsible for all the colors that we see with black and white images, whereas the fibers from first and second layer of this lattice nucleate body comes out as a monocellular pathway, and this is responsible for static motion and depth detection, and this end at the dorsal part of visual cortex. Now looking this path, now you can clearly answer the questions that can be asked to you: which side of the eye or which part of the retina responsible for making the image. So remember, many questions are based over this concept: which side of the eye, which side of the retina responsible for making casting this side of the image or that side of the image. So answering all this type of the tricky question, you have to remember this pathway. Clear? So this is about the visual pathway, and even you can give this image, easy image. You can see this is a very easy to draw. We have covered all this long way. Now we are on the end. Last left is this the visual reflexes. So these visual reflexes are of the two type. One is the direct and other is the indirect. So direct one, here we see. So this direct and indirect reflex of visual reflex that we study under the light reflex. This is light reflex, or also known as pupillary reflex. And the second visual reflex that we study is the accommodation reflex. First, let's try to understand about the light reflex or pupillary reflex. See, when the light is blown, say suppose in one eye, say this left one, then automatically this side of the eye to which the light is blown, it automatically this constriction of the pupils take place here, as well as the other side of the right eye, say this is of the right side, also here the constriction of the pupils take place. So this one where the light is blown directly, this is known as direct light reflex, and this one to the other side is known as indirect light reflex. Please see how it's happened. So say here the light is blown through this optic nerve. Here this is the optic nerve. The impulse travel this way and it come to this side, and on this side, that is contralateral, and this side it comes to the pretectal nucleus. So this side of the pretectal nucleus, and from here the impulse go to the Edinger-Westphal nucleus of the both the side. Remember, it will go to the both the side, and from here Edinger-Westphal nucleus, it will go through this oculomotor nerve to both side of the ciliary ganglion, and through the short ciliary nerve. So the path from this nasal retina to Edinger-Westphal nucleus is afferent length, and from Ehringer-Westphal nucleus to both the side till this sphincter pupillae is efferent limb. Now we are about to end the lecture. See this accommodation reflex. Actually, when we see object which at a distance, then it come closer and closer and very closer. So in order to see that object, we have to accommodate. So okay, so the accommodations take place. So this accommodations take place by the constriction of the pupil, thickening of the lens, and convergence of both eyeball. Remember, both eyeballs, and this is brought about by the pathway. That pathway is known as accommodation reflex. And how it happened? See, the visual information that travels from all that long way from the retina to this optic chiasma to this lateral geniculate, this optic tract to this lateral geniculate body to this primary visual cortex area. So all this long way to this primary visual cortex area. From this primary visual cortex area, the information reaches to the frontal eye field through the superior longitudinal fasciculus. So from here to here, we see as afferent limb. Afferent limb. And from this frontal eye field Brodmann's area 8, the information through this corticonuclear fiber reaches to this oculomotor nucleus of both the sides. And from this oculomotor nucleus, the third cranial nerve, this oculomotor, take the information to the muscles of accommodations, that is medial rectus, ciliary muscles, and sphincter pupil. So from this frontal eye field to this muscles of accommodation, this we see as efferent limb. Clear? So this about the accommodation of the reflex, and this how we have gone from the introductions till the accommodation of the reflex. If you like this video, gives your thumbs up, and if you dislike, gives your thumbs down.